Development of our business culture. People have engaged in business activities since the earliest beginnings of the community existence. It refers to how your community conducts itself as a whole, including the unique ways in which it drives business activities, processes, and philosophies. The success of any business strategies also lies in organizational culture as it motivates employees to take necessary actions. Okay, so in early man produced more of a crop or caught more game animals of fish than he could consume and bartered the excesses of something produced or caught by a neighbor. He was engaged in a business activity. So bisayon ako, if namaligya ka og fish or isda, namaligya ka og isda, then na kay nabilin sa imuhang product, pwede mo na siyang i-barter sa imuhang neighbor. But ng example is namaligya siya og kuan sad ka ng gulay, pwede mo na siyang i-barter ang imong fish sa gulay. Then pwede na nang matawag og business activities ng barter. So business is equally ancient in the Philippines. It also reaches back into prehistoric times. So sa una na siya sa una na ang mga barter sa sinauna pa na. Then the historians have shown that the Philippines lies at cross Asian trade and migrations. As early as the 9th century, Arab trades were already visiting the island. So pag 9th century, ang Arab mo'y nakipag-trade nato ani nga tong lugar. Then pag 12th century, the Chinese trade. So ang Chinese na sadang nakipag-trades ari nga to ang lugar. Okay, so the galleon trade was the trade between Manila and Acapulco in Mexico, which was carried on mostly during the 18th century. The Spanish community in Manila tried to accumulate fortunes by speculations in annual trip of galleon to Acapulco and back. So in 1565, the Manila-Acapulco galleon trade between the Philippines and Mexico started. So nagsugod siya in 1565 ang Manila to Acapulco trade. So naglast ang trading pag September 14, 1815. And also Fray Andres de Ordinata discovered the galleon trade. Okay, so however, this famous trade did very little for the development of the Philippines and contributed particularly nothing to bonanza were the Chinese. This was because the good ships to the Acapulco through carried by the Manila galleons and originated by the junks from China. So kuan siya kanang nihina ang trading tungod kay ang goods sa Acapulco is kanang gihatod siya sa Manila and mga gamit siya gikan sa China. So ang example ana is ang ukay-ukay. So ang ukay-ukay sa aning Tagbilaran mo na siya example sa gibuhat sa Manila to Acapulco tradings. And then number 1 is thus was shaped the patterns of speculations of the three people in the colonial economy. The Filipino were the millennials and tillers of the soil. So the three people in colonial economy is the Spanish, the Chinese, and the Philippines. Okay, so the Spaniards were the governors and the Chinese. And Sangli Metizos were the distributors, tradesmen, persecuted throughout the colonial period until 1898, and traces of it survive every today. So ang meaning sa Sangli and Metizos, the Sangli are the archaic term used in the Philippines to describe a person of pure overseas Chinese ancestry and mixed Chinese and native Filipinos ancestry. So the Spaniards were the governor, so murag sila mo ay tig-provide, murag provider, the trader, and the apil na siya ang mga Chinese. Mosad sila ang mga trader, the governor or provider. So the Sangli Metizos were the distributor or mga seller. Number 3 is the voluntarily savings and instructions of bank account. So kinahanglan dyan na siya nga na kay kaugalingon mo kwarta na kay bank. And then in every economy, certain basic functions have to accomplish the determinations of what, how much, and for whom to produce. The allocations of the goods and the service produced further growth of the economy. So the distributions of economic benefits and maintenance of the relatives with the other countries. So nanihanglan na si Jao kanang mag-invest to another country. So manghanglan ta to invest sa tong kaugalingong kwarta, dili sa dili government money, so own money. Nature sa own money, sa gain money nimo sa imong business. So kinahanglan na siya, kinahanglan tang mo kay bawta sa unsay na sa product, giunsa, pilang mga ingon ana. Capitalist economy. Capitalist economy, otherwise known as the market economy of enterprise economy. The price serve as an indicators between the consumers and the producers. So the consumers and the producers can benefit the price. So if they can benefit the price, so they both benefits. So the capitalism works along these lines, although an ideal market economy could hardly be achieved due to the presence of many market imperfections which result to some problems in source applications. So daghan kay mga problema ang ubang mga market. So kinahanglan siya I love you. The arrival of the Spaniards forced the people to produce more support the non-producing Spanish authorities. The later's coming brought along new and more advanced methods of productions, like the introductions of new crops and development of skills. So, as shown as a picture above, or pictures, muna siya yung mga examples of mga advanced methods sa mga productions or mga high-tech siya, mga bagong abot sa mga Spaniards. So, gi-force nila ang mga people na gamito ng ilang mga new productions. The arrival of the Americans further lead to the development of the Philippines, although we were made as an outlet of American-produced goods. So, pag-abot sa mga Americans, gitudloan ng mga Filipino in the Philippines nga magama or makagama sila og kanang mga goods or makaproduce na goods. So gitudloan ta sa mga American para ma-develop ang atong Pilipinas. Business organizations and management. In the Philippines, just like in any other nations, the so-called market economy does not operate in perfect situations, since you can still observe the presence of the economic inequalities. The resources of productions are concentrate in the hands of few, and the different purchasing power of individuals sometimes lead to distortions in coping the basic economic functions of what, how much, and for whom to produce. So, as what I've said earlier, so we need to know the economic functions sa mga products, like unsa nga product, giunsa siya pag-use, mga ngana. According to Karl Marx, all mankind must sooner or later pass through the successions of different historical stage, ending on the attainment of that stage of socialism and finally communism. The identical factor between the two is the common ownership of the factors of productions, unlike in capitalism, wherein private ownership. In socialism, goods are not yet sufficiently produced to meet all the materials need of the membership of the society, while in communism, the said state of abundance has already been achieved. In socialism, man produces as a result of incentives like wages, while in communism, productions is undertaken without any prodding, since work becomes natural to the members. The Philippine business is essentially capitalistic. It also carries many elements of government guidance and control. Thus, the government lays down the rules for the economic activities, restrain excesses like monopoly or harmful competitions, and assist business with the monetary policies, or even outright financial assistance when the need arises. The modern business culture had its beginnings in the commercial revolutions of the 50th and 60th centuries. The geographic discoveries, the influx of luxuries such as species, silk perfumes, and the other items from the East. Then came the industrial revolutions. Mechanical inventions removed the production's limitations, which keeps the demand from being full met. Mass productions give rise to expanded industries and trade. The study of business. The modern business culture has such as all-embracing and persuasive effects on every single member of the Philippine community that it becomes advisable to have a clear mental pictures of its meaning. For the business students who engage in the study, basic subject like business organization, it is even more essential to have clear background of just what the term business means. There is probably no finely drawn dividing line between businesses and non-businesses. Obviously, a merchant is a businessman while a clergyman is not. Attributes of the term business. So, business has been defined as an organization of people with varied skills which use property or talent. So, kinahanglan siya na to nga ipakita ang skills sa business and datong talents. So, to produce goods or service. So, para nindot ang atong service sa atong business, kinahanglan jud nato nga nato tay confidence sa atong kaugalingon nga mapakita na to ang atong skills, and then which can sold to the other from more than their cost. And then the business includes any lawful activities carried on continuously, which involves buying and selling, or manufacturing or financing, or the rendering of the service for money. The fundamentals characteristics of businesses includes the profession such as the law, the medicine, engineering, then teaching. So, magamit na to na siyang profession sa ato ang business. And then, the objectives of the businessman is to sell his product or service in such a manner as to recover not only what is actually cost to provide a reward, personal effort, and risk. So, ang objective jud for being a businessman is para jud makasell ta sa ato ang kaugalingong product. The businessman hope to earn profits by following the principles of goods organizations and sound management. So natay duha ka characteristics of businesses nga posible siya sa climate sa atong country. So number 1 ana is the constitutions, the laws, the customs, and the traditions of the people. So kini jud sila nga mga characteristics jud siya sa mga business, like aning traditions of the people. So mga naandan jud siya sa mga tao, aning mga businesses bitaw. Then the next one is the will allow those who engage in business reasonable expectations of the profit possibilities. Kinds of business. The extent and nature of the business activities are almost as diverse and comprehensive as the totality of the social and economic interest of man. So, natay tulo ka broad group. Number 1 is the commerce. refers to the transfer or exchange of goods and service with the movement of goods from point of productions to point of consumption. So example na is ang oil drilling. So they can sell oil to another country that lacks the resources in exchange for money or anything of the value. So mura kag nag-invest og oil sa laing nasod. Muna siya example. Then as shown pictures above, types of commerce. So naatay business to consumer, the consumer to business, then the consumer to consumer, and business to business. So, number 2 is the industry. Industry is a primary concern with the creations of form utility or the productions of goods that are used either by the consumers and are therefore called consumers' goods, or by other industries in the further productions of the other goods. So muna siya gitawag og producers' goods. So ang industry is muna siya ang mga raw materials or mga factories na siya sa industries. So the third one is the service. So the service are the third board classifications of businesses. So this enterprise cater to personal needs of people or with the rendering of personal service. Businesses engaged in service are not involved in buying and selling of goods or the manufactures of product. So naatay duha ka kinds of services. So muna siya ang number 1 is the recreation services. Includes motion pictures, productions, and distributions, theaters for drama and stage presentations, televisions, and the like. So example ana is mga kanang mga pahinumdum nga mga product. Muna siya example sa recreation services. So ang ikaduha is ang personal service. So personal service includes such businesses as restaurant, hotel, lodging houses, laundering shops, beauty parlors, barber shops, portraits and photographic studies, and refreshment parlors. So muna siya mga example sa mga personal services. Why do people go into businesses? So people go into businesses for a variety of reasons. They may go into businesses as owners and employees, or as employee, or it may due to the fact that a person finds no easier or more satisfactory way of earning a living. So they can choose to have a businesses para mo ilang nakita nga mga easiest way para mabuhi sila. So murag nakita nila nga simple na siya nga businesses. The second is the both owner and employee needs essentially the same person characteristics that are required to succeed. Both also enjoy certain values that are derived when people go into business. These values are, number 1 are the social approval. So the social approval, muna siya ang businessman has a high social standing in community. Early businessmen were looked upon as second-class citizens who belonged to the lower social strata. Then the second one is the profit. The major factor if motivations for going into businesses in profit. Return must be realized by the productive assets so as to maintain satisfactory of the businessman involved. And then the third one is the service to the community and the employee. So while profit is an important value, it is not overriding one. Many businessmen render service to the community in donating money, sponsoring civic activities. So the next one is the personal satisfaction. This personal satisfaction comes from the social status conferred on those engaged in business. So the next one is the livelihood. People go into business to earn a living. This perceived influence of business in human activity is such that very often the only avenue where one could enter in the hopes of earning a living is to work a commercial, industrial, or a service establishments. The next one is the power. Some people enter business because of the expect to rise up the positions of prestige, power, and leadership. So mga ang naggamit sila og mga business kay mga ilado na sila. Dali ra ma-known ang ilang business if mo enter sila sa business. So the protection, quite often individuals inherit a business rather than suffer a loss through selling it, decide to run a business themselves. Okay, so naana pud tayo the reason why people go into business are as infinite as choices that are open to individuals and motivations. It is also important why we should have knowledge about. So number one is atong hinumduman is the statistics. Statistics deals with the mathematical tools, trends, and decisions theories. Statistics and mathematics force the users to define his objectives, problem, and the problem areas. Okay, so number two is economics. Economics deals with the study of the collections of scarce resources for the satisfactions of human wants. So mga needs, mga ganahan sa mga The third one is the sociology. Sociology deals with the individual's relationship to society as a whole. Sociology can make managers aware of their obligations. And the fourth one is the psychology. It's a science which deals with the study of mind, a working knowledge of a concept which motivates individuals towards the performance of their tasks and their attitudes, and the reactions of the various situations. For those who are free to choose, the following factors may control. Available funds. The availability of funds definitely limits the types of enterprise that may be formed by an individual partnerships or corporations. An amount of 10,000 pesos, for the instance, would be no value in establishing a steel plants or chemical industry. The same amount, however, would meet the initial requirements of local bookstores or small groceries. The young investors may enter a modest partnerships to manufacture his product. A big and wealthy family may form a nucleus of big banking institutions. The second one is the special aptitude and interest. In looking for a business opportunities, one must take an inventory of his personal aptitudes and interest. If one has, for instance, a merchandising aptitude and interest, the business field appropriate is more probably that of buying and selling. Such a persons may go into retailing or wholesaling, the department store, the grocery business, and like. Manufacturing would not be for him. Similarly, a person with a creative imaginations would go into advertising and movie making. Again, the next one is the training, educations, and experience. Even though one has interest and an average aptitude for a given line of businesses, if his training and educational background and experience have been in a field foreign to his current interest, it would be to his advantage to work as an employee in the field of the time instead of assuming immediately the risk of proprietorship in a business that interests him more. So, lastly, the competitive situations. The competitive situation should always be investigated. Competitive may be so keen that the margin of profit is narrow or the times not existed. Location, factor, and social values of the particular community. An individual with social and economic ties in a particular place may want to engage in a certain business which can be only thrives in other places. So, the location factors and his social ties will guide him in arriving at the decisions. The first is the present or potential demand. Demand is another factor that must be evaluated before a financial decision is made to enter a given business endeavor. The second one is the social significance of business. People have begun to realize the social, economic, and significance of business activities, since these affect all of us in some way or the other, directly or indirect. The third one is the secret of business success. Successful businessmen are better organizers as they know how to combine money and opportunity and brains to bring about successful results.